Hello and welcome back to Outside Views. Today we're diving into an overlooked aspect of Brexit, the impact on the UK services sector. And this is a story about how one of Britain's greatest economic strengths became a casualty of political realities and missed opportunities. Let's explore how services have been the neglected part of Brexit. When we talk about Brexit, much of the focus tends to be on trade in goods. We hear about fishing rights, car exports and customs checks. But the services sector, which makes up over 70% of the UK's economy, has largely been ignored in the public discourse. And this is despite the fact that services, including financial services, legal expertise, IT, education and creative industries, have been a powerhouse for the British economy for decades. To understand why services were sidelined, we need to revisit the Brexit negotiations. The EU's primary focus was on protecting the integrity of its single market, and this meant avoiding any cherry-picking that would allow the UK to retain benefits in specific areas, like services, while diverging on other rules. For the UK, securing free trade for services was a crucial economic priority, but it proved impossible to achieve given the EU's position. The result was a Brexit deal that emphasized goods trade and left services largely unaddressed. Why was this emphasis placed on goods rather than services? One of the main reasons is political optics. Trade in goods, particularly in areas like fisheries, became a symbolic battleground for sovereignty and control. Fishing, despite representing less than 0.1% of the UK's GDP, garnered disproportionate attention because it resonated with the idea of taking back control. Services, by contrast, lack the same emotional appeal. They are complex, intangible, and harder to sell as a political victory. The consequences of this neglect have been profound and far-reaching. Take financial services, for example. Before Brexit, London was a dominant financial hub, benefiting from passporting rights that allowed UK-based firms to operate seamlessly across the EU. And these rights were lost with Brexit. And while the UK hoped for a system of equivalence agreements, these have been limited and piecemeal. The EU, focused on building up its own financial centres like Paris and Frankfurt, has been reluctant to grant full equivalence. And this has led to an exodus of jobs and assets from the UK to the EU. Over £1 trillion in assets have shifted since the referendum, and this trend is likely to continue. Moreover, transition periods for certain financial services such as euro clearing are still in place, and when these periods end, further relocations may occur, potentially undermining London's global financial dominance. But the impact of Brexit on services go far beyond financial hubs. The creative industries, another jewel in Britain's economic crown, have faced significant challenges. The end of freedom of movement has made it more difficult for artists, musicians and other professionals to work across Europe. Touring, once a straightforward process, now involves navigating complex visa requirements, carnets for equipment and additional costs. Smaller acts who lack the resources to overcome these barriers have been particularly hard hit. And this has not only affected livelihoods, but also cultural exchange between the UK and the rest of Europe. And legal services too have been disrupted. The UK's legal sector, which was highly respected across the EU, has lost automatic recognition for its qualifications. This means UK qualified lawyers now face restrictions when practicing in EU countries, limiting their competitiveness in international markets. Similarly, the IT and the tech sectors have struggled with new barriers to data sharing and talent mobility. While the EU's adequacy decision has provided temporary relief for data transfers, this is not a permanent solution. If adequacy is revoked in the future, it could create significant disruptions for UK businesses. Another area that has seen a significant impact is education. The UK's withdrawal from the Erasmus Plus program, which facilitated student exchanges and collaboration across Europe, has been a major loss. Erasmus was not just about sending UK students abroad, it also brought European students to UK universities, enriching campuses and contributing to the economy. The replacement Turing scheme is more limited in scope, offering funding for UK students to study abroad but without reciprocal arrangements. And this has made the UK less attractive to international students and reduced opportunities for young people. The broader picture of Brexit's impact on services reveals systemic weaknesses in how the negotiations were handled. The UK economy is heavily reliant on services, yet this sector received little attention compared to goods. And this reflects a broader misunderstanding or underestimation of the importance of services in public and political discourse. Manufacturing and goods trade, while important, represent a smaller share of the economy than services. Yet the political narrative around Brexit often prioritized industries that were more visible and emotionally resonant. The knock-on effects of this neglect extends beyond the UK borders. As services account for a significant portion of global trade, the UK's diminished role in this sector impacts its influence on the world stage. For example, London's reduced status as a financial hub weakens its ability to shape international financial regulations. Similarly, the UK's loss of mobility for professionals undermines its cultural diplomacy and soft power. In areas like tech innovation, the UK's slower access to EU markets for services creates a competitive disadvantage compared to European counterparts. So, what can be done to mitigate these impacts and ensure that the UK's services sector thrives post-Brexit? First, the UK government must prioritise services in its ongoing trade negotiations, and this includes not only seeking better access to the EU market, which is unlikely still, but also fostering agreements with other global partners. Comprehensive trade deals that include services are essential for rebuilding the UK's economic strength. Second, there needs to be a concerted effort to invest in education, innovation and infrastructure. The UK services sector thrives on talent and creativity. Investing in skills development, research and digital infrastructure will help maintain the UK's competitive edge. Initiatives that focus on fostering local talent, such as promoting STEM education and supporting creative industries, could offset some of the challenges posed by Brexit. Third, the government must engage in dialogue with the EU to address outstanding issues. And this includes seeking equivalence agreements for financial services, resolving barriers to data sharing, and exploring ways to improve mobility for professionals. While a full return to the single market is politically unlikely in the short term, there are opportunities for pragmatic collaboration that benefit both sides. Additionally, exploring bilateral agreements in key service areas like legal or educational partnerships could provide targeted solutions. Finally, there needs to be a shift in how services are perceived and discussed. Services are not just an economic issue, they are integral to the UK's global influence and soft power. From the City of London to the creative industries, the UK services sector has been a source of pride and prosperity. Recognizing and addressing its importance is key to building a successful post-Brexit future. In conclusion, services has been the neglected part of Brexit, and this neglect has come at a high cost. The UK's inability to secure comprehensive agreements for its services sector has undermined its economic strengths and created barriers to growth and collaboration. Addressing this imbalance will require bold leadership, strategic thinking, and a willingness to engage with the EU and other partners. For now, the UK services sector remains a cautionary tale of what happens when political ideology takes precedence over economic reality. So thank you for watching, and if you found this analysis insightful, please like and subscribe to the channel. And especially don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below the video. We'll be back soon with more in-depth discussions on post-Brexit Britain. Until then, take care, stay informed, and the next video is right here in the end screen.